feel coming into that last kick?
We were really confident. We chose that end because that's one of my favorite kicks. It's a kick I get usually every day in practice. It was a lot windier in pregame than it was toward the end of the game, so we, thought that would be the most constant wind. And the offense did a great job of getting the ball down there and within range. And whenever you get a chance like that, you obviously want to put it through. And Kyle Nelson and Bradley Pena have been unbelievable, as well as the field goal unit all year. And we just trust your keys, hit it out towards the right center, and it should come back about a quarter of post, and that's what it did.
Robbie, you've been.
How locked in are you right now compared to maybe where you were at your best?
When you have teammates like I have in the locker room and guys doing their job and taking ownership in it, and the way this team is kind of gelled, it makes your job a lot easier, We talked a long time ago, a couple weeks ago, about making a run and, finding ways to win games. And, it doesn't have to be pretty. You don't have to do everything right, but just coming together as a team. And I think you're starting to see some of that towards the end of the season. And for us in the locker room, seeing some of those hard losses in the beginning of the season turn into wins is pretty special. And I think it's a testament to the coaches and the organization and the guys in the locker room.
Robbie, considering what you guys have been through this year, I know obviously you're not going to the playoffs and all that stuff, and you take a million kicks. Do you feel any pressure when you go after that last one?
You don't think about it. Honestly, I couldn't even tell you how long it was. I just trust the keys that I know kind of the distance based on what you see is where I'm going to aim. And, the guys, like I said, have been pretty special. This is one of probably if not my favorite season I've ever played in 13 years. And, some people might say, well, your record is what it is. Well, I think there's something to be said about the brick by brick that, Kyle and John and the organization are putting together. And, it's pretty fun to watch it all kind of gel and, get out there every Sunday knowing that you have a chance to win. And guys are excited about playing, and we talk about beating playoff team. That team was in the playoff hunt, and we talked about setting a tone for, if we want to be in these games and get ready for those games next year. We're playing playoff football right now, even though we're not going there. That's the type of football we need to play. And I think you saw a lot of that today, and the guys responded pretty well.
How much satisfaction do you get out of making that kick, considering Jimmy's drive down the field and the way he played all day?
I got a lot of satisfaction, to be honest with you. I mean, you want to play playoff football, you got to make every kick and every point count. And my favorite part as a kicker making a kick like that is watching the other sideline go completely silent, to be honest with you. And, I usually talk to myself before I get ready to go kick those kicks, and the kicks that I need to go up by, 1, or the kicks that we need to extend it by 10. I usually kind of get myself excited, and, that's a team that you want to beat, because you want to know that you can have a chance to make the playoffs next year. And the guys in the locker room have worked every day, Monday through Sunday, grinding for a long time to start getting this winning feeling, and you're seeing some of that come together in a winning streak. And I think we've won 4 of the last 5 or something like that. And it's pretty fun to be in there with that group of guys.
You said you were talking.
You mentioned some of those close losses turning into wins. Jimmy is kind of one of the common denominators in that. How much confidence do you guys have in him when you get the ball back?
A lot. I mean, if you go and look at the throws that he's been making the last couple games, and the way he's come in here as a leader, the way he's handled the huddle, the way he's handled himself throughout the week, preparing, some young receivers and helping guys out, and the routes that he tries to get them to talk to run, and what he's looking for, and against the defense, and get everybody on the same page. He comes from a great pedigree in New England. Obviously learning from one of the best, and I've played there, so I know the type of football player that he's coming from and that we're getting. And that's a pretty special football player.
The offense has put together a lot of scoring drives over these last 3 games, whether they've been field goals or touchdowns. I think you've had 14 attempts. How much does that help your rhythm, and how much does that change things for you when you have confidence that you're going to get a kick at the end of the drive?
Well, I mean, you want to talk about offensive efficiency. You want to end every kick with point, or every drive with points in some capacity, whether it's a touchdown or whether it's a field goal. It's talk about building momentum, as the game goes forward, and as the offense goes, you want to put those points on the board knowing that you're extending the lead, or you're giving yourself a chance at you get in a game like this, if you miss one of those kicks in the first quarter, you know, you're talking about like I did against Los Angeles. You know, I go back to those kicks because those are the kicks that fuel me every day. You know, I get mad about those, and I think they would have to drive for a touchdown instead of, you know, a 58 whatever yard field goal it's going to end up being. So, you know, every kick, every point matters in this league, and especially when you're going against some great football teams. And, you know, I put the 2 losses that we had against Washington and against Los Angeles on my back because I didn't get my job done. And those are kind of kicks that I always go back to and look at. I could tell you every single kick from the entire season. And, you know, I think it's just pretty special what this unit's doing this year. And I think it has a lot to do with the guys in the locker room and the coaching staff that we have here. There's a lot of bright days ahead for this group.
A couple more guys?
You went through a bit of a soul-searching process before you signed here. Could you walk us through what that process was, and do you feel like you absolutely made the right decision by you know, continuing your career here?
Well, I can tell you I made the absolute right decision coming here. You know, I don't make decisions for my family and for my career just on a hunch. You know what I mean? I think I told you this guy in Chicago. I met Kyle 7 years ago at the Combine, you know, with Adam Gase and a couple other people sitting at a table and just listened to him talk. And, you know, I think he was the offensive coordinator at that time. But, you know, just the passion he had for the game made a lot of sense for me to come here. So Stan Kwan was the first guy to ever work me out, you know, and Hightower was a guy I had in Chicago. I wanted to go to a place where people were going to be honest with me and that, you know, I could get some honest criticism. I mean, talk about a young kid like Bradley Pinion. You know, if I'm not having a good day, he's allowed to tell me at 13 years in the National Football League, hey, you got to get it done. You know what I mean? And I expect him to do that. Same thing with Kyle Nelson, you know, and I think that has a lot to do with our room growing as a whole and talking about accountability. And, you know, the process I wanted to go to a place where I felt comfortable. I wanted to go to a place where people are going to be honest with me. And at the end of the day, like I knew if you looked at the roster, this had a lot of talent. It was just a matter of how 70 new guys could come together and how fast that could happen. And I think that's a big part of why, you know, in the beginning of the season, we didn't kind of pull some of those close games out because guys didn't really know each other like they know each other now. And you're starting to see guys play for one another. You know, you're starting to see each guy, whether it's offense, defense, or special teams, make plays that, you know, have to do with gelling and understanding the systems. And, you know, it's been a lot of fun the last couple of weeks.
Obviously, there's a lot of parity in this league. We all know that. But how important is it, Robbie, for your team to play all these playoff contenders the next few weeks? Rams, Jacksonville, and today Tennessee.
Well, it's big. You know, the NFC West is a pretty difficult division to play in. You know, you're probably talking about a team that's going to win maybe 12 or 11 football games to win the division. So if we want to be the best, like we talk about in the locker room, you know, you got to beat those teams. And for us, just understanding that we've been there before, it's not a shock to young guys when, you know, the hitting and the speed of the game and the pace of what you're used to from preseason to the regular season, from regular season to playoffs. You know, you don't get a slow start. And I think the guys came out today, they played really fast, they played really, really hard. And, you know, these are the type of things that happens when, you know, you play that kind of rhythm and you play in that kind of tempo.